Good evening, fight fans, and welcome to another episode of Tough Sports TV. I'm your host, Jack Fletcher, and I'm delighted to welcome on today the one and only Newark's finest, Mr. Conor Greaves. Cole, how you doing?
How are you, Jack? All good, mate?
Yeah, not too bad at all. First and foremost, I wanted to start off with last weekend's action. Conor Benn, Samuel Vargas. Conor Benn went in there and absolutely, in his namesake, destroyed Vargas within a couple of minutes. Just, your reflection on that fight and Conor's performance.
Unbelievable performance. I mean, no one expected that. Vargas is a very tough man. He's never been stopped by the very, very elite in the welterweight division. And he went out there and made a statement, caught him early, caught him clean, and just capitalised on it, backed him up to the ropes and wouldn't stop throwing punches and gave the referee no choice but to stop it. I mean, fantastic performance. A lot of people were saying that they should have gave Vargas a count, but you got to realise in professional boxing, you've got to go down to get a count. So, yeah, you can't fault him. I mean, what a performance, what a statement he's made there. I mean, like I say, Vargas is very, very tough and never been stopped by the best.
Did you realistically expect Conor Benn to go in there and do a demolition job in that time frame? Because that was pretty phenomenal of him to do that.
Never expected that in a million years. No, I mean, it just goes to show you what can happen in professional boxing. I mean, Vargas is a sturdy character. He's been around the block. He's very, very experienced. And I mean, what happened was Conor caught him cold, really. Vargas wouldn't have been expected that. He come out there with a clean 1-2, caught him, seen him stumble back and wouldn't stop throwing punches. So Vargas wouldn't have been ready for that. I mean, he'd have been looking at a bit of a chess match early doors with Conor being so inexperienced at that level. And obviously he caught him and he wouldn't stop throwing punches. And like I said, he gave the referee no choice. I mean, it was a right stoppage for me because he was getting it clean and flush. And if it had gone down, he would have got a count, but he didn't. So the referee had to stop it.
Conor Benn made a statement saying that he's obviously the most improved welterweight out there in the time frame that he's been boxing. Would you say that's a true statement, Carl?
Oh, definitely. I mean, when you've seen his early pro fights, he was a raw novice. I mean, bit of a laughing stock, let's be honest. I mean, he looked terrible early on in his career. And we was thinking, oh, another one who's got a famous father on the back of him is getting all these big limelight and on the big shows on the back of his dad. But listen, he's now made a name for himself. I mean, you can forget the Nigel Benn tag, son of Nigel Benn. He's now Conor Benn. He's really up there with some of the top welterweights in the world. I mean, listen, he ain't quite ready for the elite, but he's on that fringe now. I mean, Vargas is a fringe sort of like world level fighter, been in with the best, always got beat at the top level. But yeah, I mean, he's making a name for himself now, and fair play to him. He's a lovely kid as well. He come in the change rooms after David's fight, congratulated him. He rates David highly, had a picture with the team and with David. And he actually said to us that I won't be boxing you soon. So I just thought after that fight against Vargas, when he was calling everybody out, he was calling out the elite welters in Sean Porter and Broner. I was just surprised that David never got actually got mentioned because, I mean, his adrenaline was rushing. And he might have thought, I fancy David now after that performance, but he never. Showed David a lot of respect. A little bit disappointed that Sky never mentioned David, but it felt like that Sky was told not to mention David's name because not one person mentioned it. But we move on. I mean, we've got bigger fish to fry. I mean, there's going to be a massive announcement on David soon, who his next opponent is, and it's going to be one hell of a fight.
In regards to David Avanesyan and Conor Benn, obviously there was no mention from any of the commentary team. Matthew Mackley never mentioned anything. No mention by Eddie Hearn. Conor Benn went on a tangent for roughly about 5 or 10 minutes. Didn't mention David's name once. And he was a pundit when David was fighting against Josh Kelly. Now, surely that would be the acid test for Conor to maybe fight someone of David Avanesyan's caliber. If that fight did get made, I mean, how could you see that fight playing out, Cole, from your point of view?
I mean, obviously, I fancy David big. I mean, especially after his performance against Josh Kelly. I mean, and the thing is that if anyone's going to beat David, it's Josh Kelly's style, which he couldn't do. I mean, someone like Conor Benn is tailor-made for David. He's Route 1. He wants to fight. I mean, he can box a bit, Conor. I mean, David can as well, but obviously the actual style of them fighters is having a good fight. You know what I mean? Toe-to-toe war. So it'd be a great fight if it did happen. I mean, further down the line, you never know. I mean, if David don't beat his next opponent to the top of the world level, then he might be able to fight Conor on the way down next time, you know what I mean? Because Conor will still be rising if he's still winning. So it's still a fight that could happen, but just not at the moment. They've got different paths. I mean, Conor's trying to get where David is, and David wants to push on to get a world title. So we'll see. But it's definitely a fight that can happen. But when it does happen, it'll be one hell of a fight. And it'll probably be a pay-per-view style fight because, I mean, it's... none of them leave it. You know what I mean? They bring it all to the table. They don't leave anything in the ring. They give it 100%, and it'll be a war.
I mean, there was a lot of emphasis on the post-fight interview about Conor fighting Amir Khan, but surely, you know, there's not really much in it for Amir. I mean, he's got everything to lose in that fight. So I can't really see that happening. Can you, Cole?
No, I don't think Amir wants it. I mean, listen, Amir's at the twilight of his career now. You know what I mean? He's been a great fighter. You know what I mean? He's been an household name for a few years. Why would he lose his legacy to someone like Conor Benn? I mean, there's nothing in it for Amir Khan. It's a great name for Conor to have on his record, Amir Khan, but there's nothing in it for Conor for Amir Khan. It's you know, I mean, he's got a lot to lose fighting Conor if he does get beat, which he probably will do now. I mean, especially after Conor's last performance. I mean, Vargas went 12 rounds with Amir Khan, even had him on the floor. Although Amir had him on the floor a couple of times, he'd have to fancy Conor big now. But no, it's nothing in it for Amir Khan. I think he wants sort of a big cash-out fight, a big name. I mean, he'd like to fight. I know he'd like to fight Kell Brook. That's a fight been talked about for years. It's past its sell-by date, but he'll still get big numbers. And that's a fight I think he's going to be looking at, not some up-and-coming hungry prospect like Conor Benn.
Cards on the table, Carl. Do you think that Conor Benn is scared to fight David because deep down he knows that it's going to be too much of a tough fight for him and he's got too much to lose? Massive banana skin for him.
Yeah. It's at the moment he knows he's not ready for David, and his team know. I mean, I know Tony Sims very well. I sent him a nice message after Conor's victory. I mean, listen, like I've said, a lot of these elite trainers get given good fighters from the start, so it makes their job a lot easier. You know what I mean? But you got to give him a lot of credit, Tony Sims, because he had Conor from a raw novice and he's turned him into a fringe world title fighter at the minute, and it's obviously still on the up. So I said to Tony, listen, Tony, massive credit to you. You brought a fighter in from the bottom and got him nearly up to world level now. You know what I mean? Massive credit to him. So, yeah, but I think Tony knows. Tony's got a lot of respect for me as well. We go back a long way. And he knows that Conor isn't quite ready for David. And that's probably why he wasn't mentioned once.
But you think potentially further down the line, you know, it could happen. And when it does, what an explosive pay-per-view fight it'll be. Obviously, Eddie Hearn wants to turn Conor Benn into a pay-per-view fighter. David Avanesyan with his fighting ability, his tenacious attitude in the ring. Those two together, pay-per-view blockbusters got written all over it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like I said, if David loses his next fight, obviously we don't want him to, because if he wins his next fight, he's got a world title shot. He'll be manager for the world title. But if he loses, obviously, and Conor's still winning, it's a fight that they could take, you know what I mean? David's still going to be a massive name, and Conor's on his way up, and it'll be a good name for Conor to have on his record. And we'll see. I mean, if David beats Conor Benn again, he's back in the mix. So, yeah, listen, David's next fight, he's got nothing to lose, really. I mean, it's at elite level. If he gets beat, then he can just drop back down a level and fight and clean up on the domestic scene.
I mean, let's put the emphasis back onto David Avanesyan. Are you able to disclose at this point, you know, who the fight's going to be against? If he's going to be in the USA? Is it going to be in the UK? Is it going to be on a matchroom card? Can you tell us anything, Cole?
Yeah, I can't really say a lot because it's still in early negotiations. I mean, obviously Neil Marsh is David's manager. He's in talks with Matchroom. I've been told not to let it out of the bag yet. There's still quite a bit of work to do, so I'm not going to say anything. But yeah, I mean, it's massive. It's going to be massive, and we're hoping it'll be a world title eliminator, final eliminator. So yeah, it'll be announced very soon. I mean, there's still quite a bit of negotiating to do. I mean, you got to remember at that top elite level, things aren't easy. There's a lot of boxes to tick and things to go through, a lot of deals to be struck. So yeah, I can't announce it yet, but it won't be soon, and nobody will be disappointed.
What would be the pinnacle for David Avanesyan? What fight would you like to see him against when he gets right to the top? What's the biggest fight from your point
Listen,
of view?
if Manny Pacquiao is still world champion and David wins his next fight, then listen, what a dream come true that will be to fight a legend like Manny Pacquiao. I mean, listen, I've ticked a lot of boxes in my career, both as a fighter and as a trainer and a manager. And one thing I'd love to tick is fighting in Las Vegas on a big, you know, I mean, a big card in America, Las Vegas. That's one of the boxes I want to tick. So yeah, hopefully my dream will come true one day. I mean, hopefully with David as well. So that's what will be good. But no, someone like Manny Pacquiao will be unbelievable for fight for David. I mean, what a legend he was. I mean, David ended the career of one legend, Shane Mosley. Could he end the career of another legend in Manny Pacquiao? Listen, it could happen. You know what I mean? David wins his next fight, because becomes mandatory for the world title, whether it's a WBO, WBA, WBC, IBF, he'll be up there. So, and obviously Manny Pacquiao still world champion. That's the fight we want.
You've had many highlights with David over the past couple of years. What an amazing journey it's been for you, Carl, so far.
Unbelievable. I mean, you couldn't write it when you first come to Newark. I mean, my first fight, I was chucked in for a WBA interim world title in Monte Carlo. We won that. Then we got the chance to fight Sugar Shane Mosley in Arizona, USA. We won that. And then he got upgraded. Keith Thurman was champion. He vacated. David got upgraded to WBA regular champion. He went in there to fight Lamont Peterson as the champion in Cincinnati. Got beat, underperformed. And then we got him a win, and then he's got a chance to fight Kavalauskas in Reno, Nevada. Underperformed again. And then obviously the run has gone on since that. I mean, went to Bilbao twice, defeated Kerman Lijaraga. And then he had that routine defence in Barcelona to showcase him on his own with Matchroom. Knocked out Del Rio in Iran. And then obviously we've had the Josh Kelly. Apparently got the biggest numbers that the Sky Sports show has had in lockdown. The figures was high, the numbers was big. The viewing figures went through the roof for that fight. So his name's out there, David, and the journey's still going. We've had an unbelievable ride, and so we're honoured to be involved with such a good fighter, and it's getting my name out there as an elite trainer as well. Like I said, you've got other tools to work with, and we're bringing out the best in each other, and it's creating more interest and getting a lot of fighters wanting to come and train with me.
We're just going to move on to that. Other developments within the Carl Greaves camp. What can you tell us at the minute? What's the latest, Carl?
Yeah, well, I've just going to start training Ryland Charlton, which I'm really excited about. Ryland's a fantastic fighter. He's my kind of fighter. My style I love to work with. Obviously, his manager Dan Naylor. I actually used to manage Dan as well, so we've got a good little link there. Dan's got a lot of respect for me, a lot of time. He knows the job I've done with my fighters, especially David. And he rang me up and said, "Look, can we come down for a trial?" He come down a couple of weeks ago, had a session, loved it. I love working with Ryland. We had a great bond and great. We clicked straight away. And I got him on the scales at the end of the session, and unbelievable. He's been fighting at welterweight. I couldn't believe my eyes. He got on the scales. He was 68.45 kilogram. Well, the welterweight division is only 66.7. He's literally fighting at welterweight. His walk around weight. So Ryland, we're looking at bringing down to 10 stone, super lightweight, and we could even be bringing him down to lightweight, because we've got to assess it and make sure it's right, because he's no more than a stone over the lightweight division. So exciting future with Ryland. I'm really, really excited about working with him, and I do feel that he's my kind of fighter who I can really push on and work with. I know Dan sent a message to Eddie, because obviously he's working with Matchroom, and Matchroom really like him, and said to Eddie, look, Ryland's going to be training with Carl Greaves now. Eddie was really pleased about it. Sent him a message straight back, which usually Eddie takes a few days to do if he does it all. So that was a good sign. He said, yeah, we'll get him out in the summer, and I look forward to it. I think that would be a great relationship with Carl and Ryland. So, yeah, I'm really excited about it, Jack. Another good fighter to the stable now.
I mean, analysing Ryland Charlton's last performance against Florian Marku, it was a valiant effort. It went right to the wire, and then Florian just sort of nicked it at the end. Analytically looking at that performance, what does Ryland need to do to improve as a fighter?
I tell you what it was, that fight was just a size difference. I mean, Ryland weighed in at 10 stone 4, got in the ring at literally 10 stone 7 on the welterweight division limit, you know what I mean? So he should never have been in there at welterweight. I think he was talked into it more than anything. I think they wanted the fight at 10-fold start, but even that's too heavy. But listen, Florian's a very good fighter. He boxed the right fight. You know what I mean? He let Ryland come on to him. We've got to mix up a bit with Ryland. But one thing you've got with Ryland, one thing that you can't teach anybody, is a massive heart and the will to win. And he's so tough. Listen, that is all you need. You know what I mean? The rest of it will fall into place. You know what I mean? But he's got the heart of a lion, and that will take him to the top, or as far as we can get him. You know what I mean? But he's got a lot of ability to go with it. But there's a lot of things that need ironing out, and I'm sure I'm the man to do that. I mean, that's why they've come to me.
From what you've seen of Ryland so far, I mean, how far do you think he can go? I mean, what level can he get to if he drops down these weight divisions? Because let's be honest, he's got a lot of power in both hands for a lightweight fighter.
Yeah. Listen, I really truly believe he could win a European title. Definitely. I mean, like I said, I've got to assess it, because these fighters that don't walk around heavy, they've got low body fat, and I think Ryland's going to be one of them fighters. So, I mean, 10 stone is definitely going to be his weight, possibly even 9'9". So I'm going to assess it, make sure I do it right, get more experienced people involved at making weight than myself. Not making weight, because I've made it all my life, but these top nutritionists and people that can look at what weight that will be best for you. So, yeah, these sports advisors. So we're going to look at that. But I think that definitely minimum British champion, and we can definitely push on to European champion. I think he's got the art and desire and the will to win, which, like I said, you can't teach that. You know what I mean? You can teach skills, you can develop fighters in other aspects, but one thing you can't do is teach the old ticker, mate. You know what I mean? And that's one thing he's got in abundance, which proved it in the Florian Marku fight. Because let's be honest, he took a lot of stick. He was under the cosh. His eye was a mess. He still had Florian on the floor. Remember that as well. I mean, and like I say, Florian was must have been a good 10 pound heavier than him on the night, mate. You know what I mean? That's a lot of weight at that level.
Do you think you could ever see them two getting into the ring again, or is that been and gone now?
Listen, it could happen. I mean, let's just see. But I mean, I've heard Florian's coming down to 10 stone. I mean, what a big kid he'll be at that weight. So if he does, then, you know what I mean? If he can make 10 stone, there's definitely Ryland can make 9'9". You know what I mean? But you never know. I mean, at 10 stone, it could happen, but definitely won't be happening again at welterweight. No way.
So great news for all the other professional boxers in your stable. 12th of April was a fantastic day. Pubs open, gyms open. You can go and get an haircut. You can get sunbed. You can do what you want. So with that, all the small hall show lads, they're probably chomping at the bit now to get back into the ring. And I saw this week on Instagram, Stanley Stannard's got a fight date coming up.
Yeah, I mean, Dennis Hobson, he's still putting shows on. I think you can have 50% crowd as well now. So the worst thing for the likes of me is it's still the testing that's a crippler. You know what I mean? While they're doing the testing and the hotel bubble and obviously the food and the 3 days you've got to be locked away, It's just not possible for the likes of me to be doing that. I think Dennis is working with a TV platform. He's going to announce it very soon. He's putting on a show nearly every week, I think. So he's going into it big time. He's made some good matches. I've got Levi Giles fighting on his show for the Midland area title against Conor Lee Jones on the 21st of May. Big fight for Levi. And then I've got on the 11th of June, I've got 5 of my own fighters on ticket deals fighting. I've got Stanley Stannard. I've got Sonny Price. I've got James Rayworth. I've got Matty Ecclestall making his debut. And I've got Ollie Marple. You know what I mean? All unbeaten fighters. 4 of them's unbeaten. 1 of them's making his debut. So a great chance for me to get these fighters out that's been chomping at the bit, like you say. Obviously, they've got to sell tickets, but tickets are available. And I'm sure fans will be dying to get to some live action and have a night out. So I'm sure they'll do very well. And then I'm hoping September I can get back at it myself. I'm hoping the testing would have stopped by then. I mean, obviously, we've got no TV. We can't do that. But I'm hoping September that I'll be back promoting once the testing stops and we can get cracking again. And I've got some big plans and some big shows lined up.
Most definitely, Carl. Carl, it's always a pleasure speaking to you on Tough Sports TV. Just before I let you go, have you got any final words at all?
No, I mean, it's been a very interesting, obviously, over a year now, isn't it? We've been in lockdown and, well, not lockdown, but with this COVID. We never expected to go on this long, but that's the way it's been, you know what I mean? I'm glad we're nearly out of it now, touch wood or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm glad we're nearly out of it now and we can move on and all start enjoying our lives again. But it's been terrible. It's been sad times. I mean, we've lost a lot of people through this. So hopefully we can get back on track now and start enjoying our lives again.
Good stuff, Carl. Carl, always a pleasure. Thanks for your time and thanks for coming on to Tough Sports TV.
Top man, Jack. Thank you, mate.
Cheers, Carl.